Sup guys, Fuffin here, and today I want to show you how to increase your EV in Teamfight Tactics. So in this video, there are going to be a ton of numbers, so just heads up for that. But I'm going to do my best to explain the math first, then I'll put it into simpler terms to help you understand more easily. So before we get started, I want to talk about the concept of value, or as many players refer to it, EV. EV, or expected value, is a poker term used to try and calculate the return on an investment. In TFT terms, it would be like spending 2 gold for Zed versus 10 gold. In TFT, he strictly costs 2 gold, but if he became 10 gold right now with no changes, he would suddenly be 5 times less valuable. This is just a crude example, but later I'll have better ones, I promise. Maximizing your EV during games is huge for playing for top spots, and these tips and skills I'll talk about in this video hopefully can help you in maximizing your value. So the first thing I want to talk about is how the shop chooses what to give you. Every champion in TFT comes from a shared bag or a pool. When someone buys a champion from the shop, that champion is removed from the pool, meaning that there's a total less of that champion. This is the reason that if everyone in the game is playing the same comp, no one is going to be able to 3-star units. So going back to that shop, it'll be harder to find these contested champions. This means that if there are less of a champion in the pool, then you're going to have to use more gold to actually find them. If we go back to my Zed example earlier, this is going to make more sense. If you are the only person playing Zed, you're going to have a much higher chance of finding him, maybe even at 1 reroll at the cost of 2 gold. But if you're in a lobby where many players are playing Zed, maybe it would take 5 rerolls for a total of 10 gold to find the same Zed. This is an example of how EV works, and why scouting is a great skill to develop over your time of playing TFT. In addition to this, your level is extremely important in maximizing your gold to champion EV. For example, if you're level 9, you have a 10% chance to find level 1 units. So if you're trying to find a level 1 that you need, you have an extremely low chance to find it. You should get your units at what I call their hotspot. This is the most optimal timing in the game for finding your most desired unit. For level 1s in this case, your hotspot is usually going to be level 5. While you do have a higher chance of hitting 1 costs at levels 1 through 4, most of the time you won't have the gold to afford them while rolling. An example would be if you had 20 gold, which is 10 rerolls, at 75%, which is level 3, I believe, in the game. So that it's not something that's going to happen, but we'll just call it for the video's sake. Versus 50 gold or 25 rerolls at 55%, which is level 4. The first number would obviously be an example of a very early roll with low gold, and the second would be around 3-1 at level 4 when you might hyper roll. So breaking it down into percentages, you have 750% value on the first example, and then you have a 1375% on the second example. These numbers here speak for themselves. The obvious reason the second number is way greater is because of the additional rolls from saving interest gold, which means that to have the same value factor, you would need to have 18.3 rolls on the first example instead of 10. But we can maximize this even further, because this is assuming that all of the rolling is done at one time, going from, whatever gold you have to 0. But you can also slow roll your interest gold. This is a common strategy when looking for units. In essence, you're only going to spend gold above 50. You're never going to go under 50, so you can maintain maximum interest streak. The interest you gain doing this strategy is always at least 10 when at 50 gold, but it can be more if you're streaking. But to lowball numbers here, we're only going to use 10. And to make it fair, we're going to use the level 5's chances on this, because when most players hit 50 gold, they're around level 5. So now you have a 45% chance instead of 55% chance, and about 4 turns at 10 interest gold, which is 40 gold, meaning 20 rerolls. And you'll notice in this example that it's only 900% compared to the previous 1375. But what's not being taken into account here is that you have made that 40 gold of EV. You still are sitting on 50 gold. So if we were to use all of this gold at the final turn, which you should absolutely never do, by the way, this is the real EV of the 2 examples, 20-25% versus 13-75%. This isn't something you can see immediately, but there is a point where players who blow their money early will lose that interest EV, but they'll have a huge power spike over the lobby. This is common in low elo lobbies where players will do good until the mid game because they have no economy to fall back on, while everyone else in the lobby who has effectively saved their money will slowly get stronger. Now, it should be noted that in the 1375 example, that player is likely winning and not losing health due to their increased board strength, but they absolutely need to win like that, because if they lose, they will be be risking falling behind way too much in the lobby. Going back to the percentages, these were only calculated for 1-cost units. Now in TFT, your comp will only usually consist of 1 or 2 1-cost units. This is where saving gold can have better benefits. While you slow roll at level 5, you have a higher chance of finding 2, 3, and 4-cost units. So if your comp needs those, you have a higher chance of finding them. This allows you to gain EV on those units as well. Even if out of your 20 rolls, you only have a 5% chance of finding a 4-cost, it's better than nothing, and sometimes you get lucky. But that chance to have a lucky break would not have happened if you used the 1375 strategy. This is why learning how to maximize your value in TFT is so important, because by doing so, you lower the randomness of the game by using resources when you're most likely to hit critical units. The general rule for when rolling for something is based on your economy and health. In the 1375 example, you may not lose as much health as the 2025 example, but I'll get into how health is also a resource later in the video. If you have 8 of a 1-cost unit, it might be fine to level past 5 if you think you can find the last one. But if you only have 3 and need 9, don't leave level 5 if you're still looking for them. At level 6, your chances of finding 1-cost plummets. This is the same for 2-costs going from level 7 to 8. In general, when you're rolling, this is the guideline that I use and that I think is the most efficient when looking for units. If you want 1-costs, roll at level 4 and 5. If you need 2-costs, roll at 6 and 7. 3-costs at 7 or 8. 7 if you're losing too much health and need to stabilize. Then 4-costs at 7 or higher, and 5-costs at 8 or 9. Going outside of these boundaries will greatly diminish your chances of finding these champions. When you get to these levels, make sure you have at least 20 gold to roll so you can effectively find the champions that you need. So in my percentage example, I noted how the 900% EV would over double to 2025 if you rolled all your gold at the final round, this being the Krug round, and how that would be something that you would never do. This has got to do with the way interest and economy works. So in stage X6 and X7, or the round before PvE and the PvE round itself, you can gain crazy value from maintaining your interest. This is because if you aren't eliminated in X6 and you have 50 gold, this means that you will gain 5 gold from that round, and you also gain 5 gold from X7. In normal games of TFT, you'll always beat the PvE rounds, which means that if you're rolling under the interest cap, you are just giving away free gold. Again, here's an example. If you have 50 gold leaving X6 and you don't spend gold under that 50, you will gain 5 at the PvE and 5 at the round after, giving you 10 total gold. But if for some reason you were at 30, then you would only gain 3, and then the round following maybe 4. This gives you +7. So this is something to consider when rolling down under 50 if you start to panic. While 3 gold may not seem like much, it'll add up if you play through 3 stages and have 21 gold instead of 30. That is nearly 5 rerolls, 5 chances to get champions that you need that your opponents can't. Remember that maximizing EV and economy lets you have a higher chance of hitting what you want, which artificially reduces RNG. I'm gonna play a clip where I show all of these skills at once. Basically, in this clip, there's someone who has a level 3 Zed and is too weak to stay in the game. So I know eventually he's going to lose the game, and those Zeds will go back into the pool. In this instance, I just try and maintain my health and economy and outlast him, waiting for him to die out. And here, to accomplish this, I save up over 100 gold to roll, and the turn after he gets knocked out, well, I'll just play the clip. Alright, level 3 Zed. Being level 7 has one of the highest chances to hit the units that I'm looking for. Occasionally, I was picking up pikes while rolling to reduce the number of 2 costs in the pool, giving me a slightly higher chance to hit a Zed and spending over 70 gold to get it. Using these tips is the way that high elo players can reduce or sometimes eliminate RNG from some of their games. The last thing I'll note with value is arguably the most valuable resource, which is health. So this could use its own video, but in essence, to summarize it short, you should not not see your health like you do in regular games. Instead, you should see your health as a gas tank for free EV. I'll explain. So if you lose the first 3 rounds of the carousel and enter it with 84 health, you may have a chance of being first pick. If you are first pick, you now have a 50 to 100% of getting the item that you need on normal carousels. 50% because if the other pick needs the same item, then you have a chance to lose it. And of course, there are times where special carousels will occur and they might not have the item that you're looking for. But in those cases, you'll still have first pick of items or a more expensive unit to sell. The way you should think of this is spending 16 health to get an item that you need or a better unit. So my final note for this video is that if you are at 15 health or lower, you should roll down your gold every turn besides the PvE round. It's better to get a 4th place with 0 gold than a 5th place with 1,000 gold. There are some times where you just have to fight for as high of a place that you can get to avoid losing massive amounts of LP. You have to kind of play the game out and see when you can be greedy and when you have to just put everything out there. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or requests, let me know in the comments below, and that'll be it. Peace.